Imagine an era where you were part of one of the most remarkable civilizations ever to have existed on Earth. This was an empire whose borders stretched from the shores of Spain to the waters of the Euphrates, encompassing the entire Mediterranean and even extending beyond it. Now, picture this colossal structure of power, culture, and invaluable heritage beginning to crumble. Great Rome, once the center of the world, gradually fades, plunging into the shadows of history. But what truly led to the demise of this giant? Today, we will uncover the key factors that caused the fall of the Roman Empire and analyze how its consequences still resonate in our modern society. We will explore not only the invasions by barbarian armies, but also internal problems such as corruption, economic crisis, and social upheaval that forever altered the course of history. Are you ready to discover how one of the greatest civilizations of all time vanished from the face of the earth? By the end of this narrative, you will understand how this catastrophe impacted not only Europe, but also the entire world as we know it today. At the zenith of its power, the Roman Empire not only controlled vast territories, but also shaped the destinies of millions. From magnificent cities to the most remote corners of the empire, Rome imposed its authority with unyielding force. Thanks to its invincible legions, the empire expanded its influence, transforming distant peoples into subjects of the eternal city. Yet, beyond wars and conquests, Rome bequeathed a tangible legacy in all spheres of life: in law, architecture, language, and even the daily habits of its subjugated peoples. For an inhabitant of a distant province, who might never have seen Rome firsthand, life was inextricably linked to the presence of the great empire. From compulsory tax payments to soldiers guarding the borders, Roman power was felt everywhere. And though the eternal city lay thousands of miles away, its influence permeated every corner of the vast empire. But how did this incredible transformation come about? What allowed a modest city on the Apennine Peninsula to become the heart of an empire spanning 3 continents? To understand the reasons behind the fall of the Roman Empire, one must closely examine one of the cornerstones of its existence: its economy. For centuries, the Roman Empire flourished, supported by one of the most powerful economic systems in history. However, beneath this outward prosperity lay deep fissures that eventually led to catastrophe. During its peak, the Roman Empire relied heavily on slave labor. Approximately a quarter of the population consisted of slaves, brought from conquered lands. These slaves toiled not only in Roman homes and estates, but also in mines, factories, and on public construction projects, fueling economic growth. However, with the cessation of military conquests, the flow of new slaves dried up. This was a harbinger of a severe crisis. Deprived of the ability to expand its territories and exploit new resources, Rome faced an enormous challenge. Its expansion-based economy began to falter. The lack of technological innovations capable of replacing slave labor trapped its economy in an outdated system. Major cities suffered resource shortages, and trade links between provinces were severely disrupted. During this period of economic decline, the Roman Empire faced a serious internal problem: corruption, which was eroding it from within. Unlike its early years, when power was held by far-sighted and strong leaders, the empire gradually fell under the control of greedy emperors and politicians whose personal interests outweighed the welfare of the citizens. This pervasive corruption dealt a devastating blow to all levels of government, including the military structure. However, it was not only internal corruption that weakened Rome. Military problems also contributed negatively. With the empire's expansion, there arose an acute shortage of Roman soldiers. To replenish the ranks of its army, Rome began to recruit barbarian mercenaries, warriors from various Germanic tribes, who were tasked with defending the empire's borders. Unlike earlier Roman legionaries, these barbarian mercenaries felt no loyalty to Rome. Over time, they began to accumulate increasing power within the empire. Some held high military positions, and even came to influence important political decisions. Their allegiance was directed more towards their own tribes or personal gain than towards Rome, further destabilizing the central government and diminishing its ability to resist external threats. The 4th of September 476 AD is etched in history as the day when the Germanic chieftain Odoacer deposed Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire. This event marked not merely a change of ruler, but the de facto end of the Western Roman Empire, the very entity that had once been the center of the civilized world. The collapse of Rome was not an instantaneous act, but the culmination of a centuries-long period of decline, driven by internal strife and state weakening. For a long time, the empire's borders became increasingly porous to external threats. Barbarian tribes such as the Visigoths, Vandals, and Huns launched devastating raids, wiping entire regions from the map. Despite desperate attempts by individual emperors to restore its former glory, Rome no longer possessed the invincible might it once had. The overthrow of Romulus Augustulus became a visible symbol not only of the fall of central authority, but also of the end of an entire historical era. The peoples of Europe, freed from Roman dominion, were faced with the necessity of restructuring their political lives, which in turn ushered in the era of the early Middle Ages, a period of political fragmentation and the formation of new states. While the Roman Empire was grappling with internal crisis, the external onslaught became the fatal blow that sealed its fate. Barbarians such as the Visigoths, Vandals, and Huns descended upon Roman frontiers with unstoppable force. Rome, once seemingly invincible in its days of might, proved powerless in the face of these relentless attacks. One of the most shocking episodes in history was the Visigothic invasion of Rome in 410 AD, led by Alaric. This moment proved pivotal, as the city was attacked for the first time in 8 centuries. Romans, shocked and devastated by the loss of their sacred city, witnessed the fall of the empire's capital under the onslaught of the conquerors. Simultaneously, the Vandals swept into North Africa, sacking Carthage, while the Huns, led by Attila, threatened total annihilation in their path. These aggressive actions not only destroyed the physical fortifications of the empire, but also severely undermined the morale of the Romans, who were already struggling with internal and economic difficulties. The loss of borders that had once seemed impregnable marked the beginning of the end for Rome. The collapse of the Roman Empire left behind not only material ruins, but also had a profound impact on art and culture. For many centuries, Rome served as a hub of artistic inspiration, magnificent architecture, and philosophical thought. However, with the disintegration of the empire, much of this grandeur vanished, and Europe plunged into an era of cultural decline. In the period following the collapse of the Roman Empire, the Western lands faced a period of decline, where magnificent architectural masterpieces such as temples, amphitheaters, and bridges fell into disuse or were destroyed by time and circumstance. The extensive network of Roman roads, a symbol of engineering prowess, ceased to be maintained, leading to a significant reduction in trade links between provinces. Works of art, once celebrating the grandeur of Rome, gradually became forgotten artifacts of a bygone era. Art, characterized by its sophistication and attention to detail, gave way to simpler forms of expression. Sculptural compositions and frescoes were replaced by primitive depictions, and a significant portion of Roman knowledge, including scientific and philosophical discoveries, was consigned to oblivion or relegated to the background. The so-called Dark Ages began their dominion in Europe, though this period of intellectual stagnation continued until the Renaissance revived many of these lost achievements. However, despite the fall of the Western Roman Empire, its legacy was not entirely destroyed. Rome left an indelible mark on the cultures of many peoples, and its influence continued to live on in civilizations which, while not Roman in origin, adopted and adapted many of its achievements, thus ensuring the continuity and development of European culture. In the East, the horizon of history was illuminated by the Byzantine Empire, whose brilliant Constantinople continued to stand tall over the world for many centuries. Contrary to Rome's tragic fate, Byzantium managed to preserve many Roman institutions intact, ranging from legal norms to systems of governance. Moreover, it attempted to reclaim some of the former Western provinces, such as Italy and North Africa, though these efforts did not achieve complete success. At the same time, the Islamic world, which began its triumphant march in the 7th century, not only preserved but also enhanced many achievements of ancient Rome. From scientific research and philosophical treatises to medical discoveries and mathematical theorems, Islamic scholars painstakingly collected the knowledge of the ancient Romans and developed it, laying a solid foundation for the European Renaissance. Thus, the fall of Rome did not mark the final point in the history of its culture, but rather served as the beginning of its transformation. Instead of sinking into oblivion, its legacy was integrated and evolved in new civilizations, continuing to influence the world for many centuries. With the decline of the Roman Empire, Europe entered an era of profound change, marked by the fragmentation of power. What was once a centralized and clearly structured empire disintegrated into numerous small kingdoms and territories, each under the rule of local leaders, chieftains, and tribes. This new social order, characterized by decentralization and hierarchy, came to be known as feudalism. Following the collapse of the Roman Empire, a mosaic of barbarian kingdoms emerged on the political map of Europe, such as the kingdoms of the Visigoths, Ostrogoths, and Franks, each striving to assert its authority. These new entities, rooted in tribal origins and control over land resources, laid the foundation for a fundamentally different system of governance. With the weakening of central authority, local aristocrats seized vast territories, forming personal military forces to defend their domains. In this chaotic world, new forms of loyalty arose, and power steadily shifted to local levels, leading to regions gaining increasing autonomy. Amidst the political instability, a new social structure was born. The feudal system, based on the relationships between vassals and lords, which was destined to dominate European society for many centuries. Despite the collapse of the Roman Empire, its legacy continues to live on in various aspects of modern society. From legal norms to architectural styles, from political institutions to linguistic features, Rome left an indelible mark on human history. Roman law, in particular, still serves as the foundation for many legal systems around the world. Fundamental principles such as equality before the law, the inviolability of private property, and the observance of contractual obligations were developed in ancient Rome and continue to be applied in modern courts, affirming the enduring influence of Roman civilization on the formation of the contemporary world. The fall of the Roman Empire marked a turning point in European history, ushering in a period of decentralization, political conflicts, and the formation of new social and state institutions. The architectural achievements of the Romans, including their famous arches, aqueducts, and monumental structures, still exert a notable influence on modern urban planning and architectural design. In the political sphere, the principles underlying the Roman Republic, with its system of a Senate and elected officials, served as a model for the creation of democratic systems of government in various countries worldwide. Latin, the language of ancient Rome, continues to live on in modern Romance languages such as Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian, demonstrating the resilience of cultural heritage. Despite the fact that the Roman Empire ceased to exist over 1,000 years ago, its influence continues to shape the modern world, reminding us that even in decline and destruction, valuable lessons can be learned, and cultural heritage is capable of outliving centuries. Thus, The decline of the Roman Empire ushered in a new era in European history, characterized by fragmentation, power struggles, and the formation of new social and political institutions. Nevertheless, the Roman legacy continues to live on, influencing modern society's pursuit of justice, order, and civility. The story of Rome, from its rise to its fall, serves as a reminder of the transience of empires, as well as the resilience of the human spirit. The Romans left behind something more than just a city or an empire. They left a rich cultural and political legacy that continues to influence our lives and systems of governance in the modern world.